Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve Hatherley in the studio with me. Hello, Steve.
Hello there, Ni hao. Thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure having you on the show. So, what's new? What's up? Anything fun happening in your life?
Oh, just kind of following what's been going on online in terms of new friends. And I actually signed up to one of the social media apps here in China, just so I could kind of keep abreast of what's going on and kind of check out some videos. I'm talking specifically about the influx of American users into one particular application. And I thought that was really interesting and really kind of heartwarming. We talked about it on Roundtable one day as well. But yeah, I signed up so that I could watch some of the videos. And it's really fun to watch, people from the United States talk and ask questions about China, and then some people here in China are responding to, and it's just kind of fun to observe the interaction. It's really cool.
Yes, it is really cool, because when we think we know each other in the sense that we know each other's country, we understand each other's cultures, we are wrong. We don't know, because our understandings about a different culture would be limited to the sources that we use to know about the other cultures.
Yep.
Unless we actually go to each other's countries, which makes the understanding quite limited. And that is why when we actually interview people who are, coming to China for the first time or who have been living here for a while, we like to ask the questions, so before you came here, what was your impression? When you're here, what are the differences? And after so many years, what do you think impressed you the most? And what do you think you want to tell other people? And at the same time, we realize that we should also be asking, what do you want to know? What is something that interests you? What can we answer?
What are you curious about?
Exactly. And the word curious in Chinese, by the way, is 好奇.
好奇.
Yes, 好 is like another pronunciation of 好, good. Remember, 你好, that's you, good, or hello. So the same character, 好, carries another pronunciation, 好. This is actually a phenomenon in the Chinese language. That is, we know a lot of different characters share the same pronunciations. Same pronunciations, similar, same or different tones, but same pronunciations. And another phenomenon is for the exact same character, it might have more than one pronunciation. Sometimes it's different pronunciations, sometimes it's similar pronunciations but different tones. But usually when they are pronounced differently, they carry different meanings. So here, 好, it's good. We know 好 means good. And when you pronounce that character to 好, it carries the meaning or the nature of the character transits to a verb. Means like something.
To like something.
To like something.
Oh, it changes from good to
like something. Yes. And you cannot really use it to, for example, 爱好 would be love and like, to like something. And here, because it carries the meaning of to like something, so 爱好 actually means hobby. Yes.
And yeah, I see the logic there. Even though that's the same character, right? Okay, so then what's the clue to know what you are reading then?
That is actually a very good question, but I can only answer you with the answer I've been using for quite many times. That is, you have to read the context. And also you have to know, because we're only talking about a character, but actually the smallest unit in the language is a word. So the thing is, we talk about 好奇, for example, 好奇, 奇 is 奇怪, making you feel, it's strange. So if I am constantly showing, this makes me feel it's strange. I want to know more. Then I'm a curious person. So 好奇, curious. And when it comes to 爱好, for example, a hobby, if you see 爱好, you know this is a word and it means hobby. And also another example here would be, for instance, in very colloquial Chinese, maybe you can only see this phenomenon in the northern part of the country. You can see 我没事儿好来一口. It means 我没事儿 when I'm free, when I don't have any other things to do, I like to have a glass of drink. 好来一口 means have a glass of drink.
Oh, okay.
So it's used in a very colloquial way. And it's not that common, especially among the younger generation. Yet, that meaning definitely is there.
Okay. So the qi part of hao qi, can you explain that again? So that means to...
Feel strange.
Strange. And the how...
Or to take an interest.
Oh, to take an interest.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So to take an interest in something that you like.
No, like to take an interest. Always take an interest. But again, I'm only explaining it because characters have their meaning or sometimes even just tendency. Maybe a better way or a more sustainable way of remembering Chinese words is to just remember them as words. So if you try to break down each and every character and the relationship between each characters, you would be ended up remembering too much things.
Yeah,
it's
right.
actually easier to just remember the word.
I understand your point. Yeah, it's just you get to a point in learning a language where it's time to stop asking questions, if that makes sense.
Yes,
ask questions up to a certain point. After a certain point, you'll just confuse yourself a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Hao qi equals curious.
Yes, so that's curious.
And ai hao is hobby.
Hobby, yes. So now, for today's episode, actually, we are trying to answer some questions mostly raised by foreigners about China and see what are they being super curious about.
Fun.
For those of you who are listening to Takeaway Chinese, if you're interested in the Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. So, asking questions about China, or let's say, what is your biggest curiosity about China?
My biggest curiosity, well, now that I'm here, I don't have that many curiosities anymore, but I'm learning so many things that I didn't know and didn't even think about. I didn't know that there was a minor difference culturally between the northern part of the country and the southern part of the country when it comes to foods and when it comes to perhaps fashion style. And I didn't even think about that because it didn't occur to me that there's different temperatures, right? It's warmer in the south than it is in the north. And I didn't even think about that before. And of course, you're going to get different temperatures. You're going to get different characters even. I'm guessing in the South, people are a little bit more relaxed or slower moving, maybe, or, the culture is because the weather's warmer. It might be a little bit more chill in the South. I don't know. I haven't discovered that yet, but I'm making assumptions now based upon the things that I have learned. Assumptions are sometimes true, but often not. So I guess I'll learn when I get a chance to visit the South.
That's actually a very, very important and interesting topic because even people here living in China, we talk about the differences. We say 南北方差异.
南北方差异.
Yes, 南 is south or the southern. 北 is north. And 方 is actually 方向, direction. So different parts. And 差异 means differences.
Okay.
So we talk about it. For you, it's in the sense of characters or personality or fashion style or temperature or like or dislike.
But what do Chinese people talk about?
The most important discrepancies when it comes to the northern part and the southern part would be preferences in food. whether or not it's salty or sweet, which one is better. For example, the tofu, the jelly-like tofu, whether or not you should have it in a sweet way or in a savory way. We talk about it all the time.
I can imagine that's a huge debate.
It's a huge debate. It's a funny one too.
Right.
Yes. So 南北方差异. But see, that's the question that you will start to have when you're actually here.
Yeah.
When you see the people.
And there are other things too, right? Like if you look at China on the world map, you can see that it's big, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything to you until you get here and you realize that, you know, you can take a flight for a good few hours and still be in the country. But that makes sense to me because, you know, if you fly from Vancouver to Nova Scotia, it'll take 7 hours. So I get it. It's just that it didn't really register with me how big it is here. And then other things like Beijing, I knew nothing about Beijing. Maybe a couple of landmarks, but in the city, but that's about it. And then being here, you learn how expansive it is. And now I'm digging into a little bit of the history on the city. So it's funny, you know, when you first move to a new country, even in the first 6 months, I think, and maybe even up to the first year, you don't really realize that you're there, if that makes sense. You know, I live really close to where I work and I work in an English environment. So it's not like I've been dropped into the middle of a small town in China where nobody speaks English. What I mean is, it's not so unfamiliar to me. I've lived in other big cities around the world too that have great food. Beijing has great food. So all of that is really familiar. It's easy to forget that you're living in a brand new place. And I'm still in that period where most of the time I don't think about it. You know, my wife and I have this conversation. We'll walk down the street. We'll ask, do you know that we're walking down the street in Beijing right now? Like we live in China now. We have that conversation all the time. And we both answer the same way. We both say, not really. It hasn't really hit home just yet. If that makes sense, it might not.
It makes a lot of sense. And I think that is why mentality between those who are actually in China and learning about China and those who are curious about the country but have never visited would be very, very different. For example, if we take a look at some of the questions asked to us from foreign people or people from the United States, for example, who have never been to China, they ask the kind of question that I would even say is easy for you to answer, even though you've only been here for half a year.
Oh, okay.
For instance, one of the questions is, hello, friends in China, is it true that your country is cashless?
Yes.
See, an instant answer.
Yes, and it's something that I didn't know. But here's the truth. You can, of course, use cash. You can use it. It's currency.
It's a currency. It's
currency.
Legal.
I ran into that issue. You know, when I first came here for a visit, I had cash with me to use. And I was told, yeah, well, taxi drivers, you might have a little bit of a hard time using cash, but they can't refuse it.
They can't.
This is what I was told. They just might not have change.
What they would do in a lot of occasions, actually, I've seen videos and also comments on the internet. They would stop. They would leave you in the car.
And go to a store.
And also the car keys would still be in the car.
Oh, yeah,
they don't even think about you driving away.
Car theft, yeah.
They don't think about it.
Doesn't register.
Doesn't register. They just go to a store, get the cash, get the change, and give it back to you.
Yeah. So that was when day one that I arrived here. But after that, I learned that everything is through your phone. Literally everything's through your phone. And I can't remember the last time I used cash for something, and I've been here for like 7 months.
I can. I use cash to give my son red envelope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more like ceremonial.
Yeah, but that's particular to this time of year.
Yes.
And only this time of year. When else do you use cash? Honestly, other than that, when was the last time you used cash?
I literally cannot remember.
Right?
It's just too long.
Yeah. I mean, you don't use it ever here. And again, you can go to the supermarket and give them cash. It's totally fine. You can go to a convenience store and give them cash. It's totally fine. And convenience stores and at the department store and things, they will give you change. They have it. But it's just nobody uses it.
Nobody uses it. except that my mom still uses it sometimes.
Does she?
Yeah, so I was trying really hard to think about the last time I used cash. It was with my mom, and I don't have any cash on me, but she did. So cash in Chinese, by the way, would be 现金.
现金.
Yes, 金 is gold or currency, and the 现 is like right now, present, something here. So 现金 is like the currency that you can provide or the money you can provide, you can see. It's something tangible. So 现金, paper notes, paper money notes.
Was Shenzhen named after that because it's a wealthy city?
No, 现金, Shenzhen. No.
Sounds similar to me.
Yes, so that's 现金.
Question. How about in rural communities? Would people use cash more often, or it's just everywhere now where people use their phones?
I recently went to different villages and counties and townships in Xizang, and I didn't use cash. I didn't even bring cash. So I would assume in most of the places, you can definitely choose not to use cash. But again, it's legal to use cash. So if you have any, you can still use them.
Yeah. I guess my advice would be if you're coming to China for the first time, set up your accounts that you need to so that you can use it through your phone, but also bring a little cash with you as well. You might not use it, but just in case something goes wrong with...
You know what's the downside of using electric payment or mobile payment?
What?
For example, previously, when I eat in a restaurant or go grocery shopping, one thing, if I spend or if what I bought cost around 17 yuan or 17.3 yuan or 0.8 yuan, they would always say, 17.8, but give me 17. Or sometimes 16.1, but give me 15.
Okay.
But now, because there's no problem.
It takes the exact amount.
I feel like I'm spending a little more.
Yeah.
But it's only fair. It's only fair.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And by the way, that action is called 抹零. I'm teaching you something that is no longer exists. That is to wipe away the 零头. So the point, the numbers after the point, after the dot.
The decimal part. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Yes, so the idea is 抹, wipe away, 零头, the number after the dot, the decimal part.
I won't put that in my notes for today.
No. And another question, for example, is it safe to travel to China?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 1,000%, as a matter of fact. One of the first signs that I saw when I arrived here, my wife and I, we went to Xi'an to see the Terracotta Warriors. And inside the park and outside the building one of the buildings that holds the Terracotta Warriors, there's a sign that says, "Don't fight unless you don't mind going to the hospital or jail."
Depends on if you're winning or losing, right?
The way it was phrased was perfect. Don't fight unless you don't mind going to jail or the hospital. I haven't seen... I said I've been here for 8 months now. I haven't seen any altercation on the streets. I haven't seen an argument on the street. Well, that's not true. Yesterday, I saw a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Aww.
Yeah, she was not happy, and he was silent. He was just standing there on the sidewalk. I was like, uh-oh, what did you do? But I haven't seen anything at all. And here's the most important point. I have been out late at night here on a couple of occasions, and I don't feel the need to look over my shoulder to make sure nobody's, do you know what I mean?
Following you,
yeah, even
or...
in Canada, in Halifax, where I'm from, if you're walking at night by yourself, you're going to look around and make sure. And I'm sure being vigilant in Beijing is still a good idea, but I've never felt that. And if my wife were to be out, going for a walk late at night, I wouldn't worry one bit.
Yes, and that is why many netizens here in China, when they see the question like this, they reply. For example, I often walk my dog alone at 2 a.m. And we've talked about it on Roundtable that a lot of parks now provide a 24-hour service, just because some people like to, go have a little bit of me time during the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Graveyard walk, maybe.
And there's a lot of 24-hour gyms where you can go whenever you want, and that's just another sign. I don't know, but I think that type of thing here is taken very seriously. So it is a very safe place to be.
Yes. But we do have some different answers. People say it's unsafe. You lose yourself in the midnight street food markets. You ended up eating too much. Not safe.
That's a different type of dangerous, isn't it? Yeah.
And the key word here is 安全.
安全.
安全 means safe.
安全.
安全. And you can use it in different occasions. For example, we have 安全意识, the awareness of keeping yourself safe. So 安全 means safe, and 意识 is awareness. But when you put them together, it's not simply safe awareness. It's more like the awareness to keep yourself safe.
Oh, okay.
So it's that kind of relationship between these two words when you put them together.
If 安全 is safe, would 不安全 mean dangerous?
Yes. You can also say 危险, of course, but 不安全 means dangerous. And the reason I'm bringing about 安全意识 is because actually people's awareness of keeping ourselves safe, keeping even strangers on the street safe, is also gaining. Recently, I've encountered a video showcasing a woman saying that one day on the street, I saw a young lady who looks very drunk and a male is helping her walk. And I stood there for around 5 seconds and I decided that even I'm a little bit scared of that male. I don't know what is I still went up and asked the man whether or not do you really know this woman that you're helping? Where are you taking her? And the man all of a sudden smiled and showed me a picture of both of them saying, she's my wife. But thank you very much for coming up and talking to me. And it's basically like you're taking care of a stranger. You're making sure she's not being taken away.
It's a nice thing.
It's a nice thing. And people are saying more and more people are doing this because they're confident that if anything really is happening, if this man is taking a strange woman to some places,
of course,
then people on the street would be helping the girl who is asking the question. She's not afraid of the situation. That is why she's confident enough to go up and help. And that is what I call 安全意识. It's not only the awareness of keeping yourself safe, but to help others in need as well.
Question. Can dangerous be used in English? We can use dangerous about other things, like you said, like the food market. You're going to eat too much. If somebody brings a chocolate cake into the office, can I look at that and say, oh no, 不安全?
Actually, I think people will understand.
But it's not typically used that way?
It's not typically used that way because instead of saying it's not safe, people would usually describe it as a kind of guilty behavior. So it's more like saying I'm going to be guilty if I consume it. So we don't say 不安全. We sometimes would say 罪恶. It actually means guilty.
罪恶.
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 太罪恶了. It's something that's, I cannot have it. It's almost like a crime I'm committing if I finish that piece of chocolate.
罪恶.
Perfect.
Okay.
So that's the thing. I understand your feeling about it, but instead of saying it's dangerous, we're saying it's a crime.
I see.
Yes. And then another commonly asked question is, can you travel to China without knowing Chinese?
Yes. But I don't know if that would be true everywhere. Right? I think Beijing is quite English friendly. I've heard Shanghai is even more English friendly than Beijing is.
Yes, they're good.
But then again, because China's so large, I'm also guessing that if you travel to a smaller town or into the, smaller communities, rural areas, you're not going to find anybody who speaks English there. Now, that's for conversation, right? But we have those little magic rectangles called our smartphones. And even if you are trying to deal with someone who doesn't speak English or whatever language, I'm just saying English because I'm an English speaker. It could be anything. But if you encounter someone who doesn't speak the same language as you do and you don't speak Chinese, the applications on your phone are incredible for language translation. And here's the other thing. Every Beijinger that I've encountered in terms of, a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant or someone working at a hotel or a taxi driver or anyone, they all know. Everyone has the app on their phone, the language translation app. So sometimes people see me coming And they'll take out their phone and get ready, knowing that they need to use the language translation app. You don't need to speak Chinese to live in one of the big cities here, I guess. But learn a few words anyway. And try to use those just because people appreciate it, right?
Yeah, I do that too. When I travel to different countries, I try to learn hello and I love you in that language.
Yeah, right.
It's just, showing that you are trying as well here. You want to know their culture. You are taking an interest. So, 学一点中文, learn a little bit Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true for many cities around the world. But to answer your question fully, I would say it depends on where you are. But for the big cities, not really.
And on one hand, we're saying that everyone is using their translator or translating machine on their phone quite well. It's funny because thinking about it, you are the one who needs the translating machine, yet everybody else is already having it and using it.
Yeah, and the reason they have it at the ready is because you are not the first person they've seen that doesn't speak Chinese, they know. But you know That's something? You'll run into people who speak English and you'll be surprised. I was getting a haircut the other day and the lady sitting next to me was maybe 70 years old and she just looked at me and said, "Do you need some help?" Like that. And I said, "Oh, no, I'm good. I'm just going to show him a picture." And she said, "Okay, if you need my help, just ask me."
Yes, that's on the other hand, more and more people started to, or more and more people have the ability of communicating with you quite fluently and quite smoothly, especially the younger generation. A lot of young kids are really good at English.
Yeah, and then there's other things too, right? Like, I haven't found a lot of examples of English words in Chinese, and even if they are in Chinese, they sound like English, but it's still going to sound a little bit different. But then there's little examples like this, like I learned from you here on Takeaway Chinese. You can say bathroom, but you can also say WC.
Yes.
Right? And you say to anyone in public or at a restaurant or something, WC, just say that, WC, and they know. And they'll just point you in the right direction. Yeah.
The only danger you might encounter would be some kids, I don't think even middle school kids, primary school kids would drag you and would not let you go because they want to practice their English.
That has not happened to me just yet.
Might happen. Well, it'll take you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, that's cute though.
Yeah. So you're listening to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve Hatherley here, where we realized that one episode cannot really conclude all the fun questions or the curiosities of those who are not currently in China yet want to know more about the country. So we are going to have another episode. So for a next episode, we'll still talk about the things that people are curious about. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our websites at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your questions, comments, and a 5-star rating. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
谢谢 ，Thank you。